Good evening, everyone. Welcome to This Week from Rockdale. Nice to see everybody out there tonight. Great to have you here, and it's great for me to be back because I've been out of town all weekend. I just got back in late this evening. I missed some activities this weekend here in Rockdale, and I just thank people from the Republican Party for catching up and filling in for me. Thanks for Dan Burks for taking my spot over at the Fall Festival, and thank you Ken Holmes for hosting the breakfast, Republican Party breakfast for me. It's all about teamwork, guys, and it's all about having people that can step up. About you're not a one man show, and it's about building a team of people who can step in and do these things. And I just think all of these guys have been able to do that. We all know that, I always give a report on the Social Circle Redskins, my favorite football team that I happen to be one of the coaches of. And the Social Circle Redskins were not playing this week. It was a bye week for us. It was a spring break, so our youngsters got to go out of town and do some things. But the Social Circle Redskins will be back in action this Tuesday night and this coming Saturday. We are 5-1 now. We've clinched the playoff spot, but we're looking to clinch us a good place in the playoffs and hope to get us a bye. So we'll see what happens with these next two games and see if we can win one of those two and get us a real good position in the playoffs. But yeah, just keep rooting for those Social Circle Redskins and those 6-year-olds because hey, they're learning that game and they're doing really good, and I'm very proud of them. Well, let's go to something here that I want to do. Yesterday, we at the not the cherry blossom, but at the fall festival, we continued selling the tickets for our raffle, and this was a 2-for-1 raffle. You get buy tickets and you get two chances to win. So I'm actually going to reach down here in this pot and I'm going to draw tickets and see who I'm going to see. First one that I draw out will be someone who wins a 9 millimeter Ruger. Let's see what happens here. Let's go down here. Okay, I got a ticket here. I can't. It's Peterson, Panet Peterson, and I can read the last name Peterson. So I will actually be calling them. They are the winner of the 9 millimeter. I'm going to write that on here. 9 millimeter. Put that one to the side. Now we're going to draw one more time, and the winner of this will win the shotgun. So let's see who wins the shotgun. And the winner of the is Bill Strom. Bill Strom is the winner of the shotgun. So I will be giving these folks a call, and we will see who. And I'll be giving them the directions on information on how to go pick those up at the elite pawn and gun over in the gun room, and they will be able to probably go pick those up on Tuesday because I have to go tomorrow and take care of some business before they can pick those up. So I just want to thank everybody for purchasing those tickets, and the money goes to a good cause, goes to the Rockdale Republican Party for us to do things for all you guys. Now I want to say hi to some people who have joined me in the chat. Let's say hi to Lisa Lancaster, Mary Bosworth, Michelle McGee, Dan Burke, Charlotte Gellert, Danielle Munez is here. Lisa Lancaster is here. Did I say George Kelichek? George is here. I want to thank all you guys. Kathleen Kaminsky is here. I want to thank all you guys for joining me tonight, and just thank you for joining me every night. And just going to let you guys know that in December, we'll have our first political candidate come on the show, Efat Walker, who is going to be running for post 2 commissioner against incumbent Commissioner Doreen Williams. Will be coming on the show, and I'm going to be having a special guest host come and help me with this. Her name is Ellen Deal. She's from Cherokee County. She is an active Republican member. She She's helped with the Trump campaign in 16 and 20. She also ran for the Georgia State Legislature in DeKalb County in 2018. So Ellen will be coming on as a special guest host when I do interviews with political candidates. So we will get the perspective of two individuals, and I think you guys will really enjoy Ellen when she comes on the show. She's a real spitfire, and she's a character. So I mean, I think you guys will enjoy her commentary. And I thought I would go out and find someone that I thought that this audience would really enjoy. And I think she's going to be somebody that you guys are really going to enjoy and get to like as she comes on and guest host when we do these political interviews. But EFAT Walker will be scheduled in December. And then I think that we will have more people scheduled as we get closer to the May thing. So I just want to thank everybody for just being patient and hanging in there as we go forward. Have any of the current commissioners, chairman mentioned coming on the show? None of them have mentioned coming on the show. They're more than welcome to come on the show. All you got to do is send them email, call, pigeon, carrier pigeon, whatever means of communication they want to reach out to me. They can reach out to me, and I would be very glad to come have them come on the show and discuss some issues. There's actually, you know what? There's some questions I'd really like to ask those guys on the show and see what kind of answers we get out of them. And I'm sure there's some questions that you, the audience, would love to ask some of our commissioners in a one-on-one situation and here in the chat. So, yeah, of course, the invitation is always there. If someone in public office would like to come on this week from Rockdale, more than welcome to come on the show. Just reach out. We'll schedule it. We'll have you on, and we'll let you say what you want to say. Then we'll ask you some questions. That's the problem there. A lot of times, folks, is they want to say what they want to say, but then a lot of times they don't want to get asked those questions, and they may be some hard questions. So a lot of times they don't want those hard questions coming back at them, but they are more than welcome to come on this show. I want to talk about something that happened in our community this week. A lot of you guys may have seen an article, and actually channels 46 and channel 2 both covered this story. That a man was discharged from the Rockdale Piedmont Hospital and literally put out on the sidewalk. You can't make this kind of thing up. I mean, it's just crazy. This kind of thing happens in our own neighborhood. It's appalling. It's disheartening that we would have medical professionals that would treat someone who is ill in this manner. So let's do a little recap on this. So apparently, Rockdale County, not Rockdale County, the Conyers Police Department had got a phone call early Thursday morning asking for some assistance from the Rockdale Piedmont security staff that they were going to be escorting a patient from the hospital and wanted the police to be on standby. They were informed by Conyers PD that was not a part of the function of what they do. So apparently at around 10 o'clock a.m., the security staff of Rockdale Piedmont dressed this patient and escorted him out, put him on the sidewalk in front of Millstead. So here about 11 o'clock, 911 call comes in that someone sees an unresponsive individual laying on the sidewalk who they felt may have just came from the hospital because they said they still had hospital tubing coming out of them. So EMS was sent to the site. National Ambulance and Rockdale County Fire Department responded to the scene and did a medical evaluation. They found that what they believed the man to be suffering from sepsis, that he had an elevated heart rate. They felt he had a urinary tract infection, possible bladder infection. So they load the man in distress up, and they transport him a few feet away to the Rockdale County, to the Rockdale Hospital Piedmont emergency room, where he was treated. Now, I don't know the patient's status at this point. Don't know what went on with him after that. I mean, I do know that by law he's required to get medical attention from the emergency room. Um, I'd watched the channel 46 and channel 2 reports on channel 46. Freeman made, Deputy Chief Freeman made a statement, that you just don't treat people that way. And I agree with you. You just don't treat people that way. I've got a little bit of perspective from this, guys. I mean, I've been in the construction industry now for 28 years. But before being in the construction industry, I was in the private security industry for 8.5 years, going on 9 years. And the last 6 years of my 9 year tenure, I was actually uh, uh, chief of security at three different hospitals. We were a private contractor, and we had security at three hospitals, and we also did security at an intervention center. I know some of you may have heard about the intervention process when Commissioner Williams and them were talking about that the other day at their legislative breakfast. Well, in West Virginia, back in the 80s, in the late 80s and 90s, we had implemented those. And if you were intoxicated or over the influence, or they felt you were in mental distress and you were arrested by the police, you did not get booked and go to jail. You actually were processed at a intervention center first, and you spent a 24-hour hold there. Then you were evaluated by psychiatric mental personnel and determined whether you had a mental condition, a substance abuse issue, or if you were just intoxicated. And if you were found that you had mental issue or substance issues, you were referred to the local mental health agency for treatment. If you were just intoxicated or under the influence, you went to magistrate and were booked for public intox. But that kind of thing has been in place for a while. Well, let me get back to the original story. I got a little delayed there for a minute. Um, but this patient, from what Chief Freeman said, he had a fever, had the sepsis. He was not coherent, not in his right mind. And when I was the director of security at these three facilities, my security staff would have never agreed to escort this individual out of the hospital. First of all, we were an independent security staff hired by the hospital, and we had our own rules and policies that we went by. We were actually trained independently, but we also received training from what they call caseworkers now, or social workers. We were trained in accordance to the rules and to the laws that we had to treat patients. During my tenure of doing this, we would have never escorted that individual to the sidewalk. It sounds like to me that the caseworker or the social workers, they really didn't do a very good job of doing the aftercare for this patient, or placing him in some sort of aftercare. But from the condition that Chief Freeman was describing, this man was in no way in a condition to be discharged from the hospital. So that is just horrible when we see what Rockdale Piedmont, put this man literally on the sidewalk. And we look at this situation, and Chief Freeman made his statement that this is not the first incident that the police department has responded to from Piedmont Rockdale with this kind of situation. So, Piedmont Rock, and he said they are literally pushing their problem to the sidewalk. I mean, that's what he said, literally pushing their sidewalk. And Lisa said a doctor had to release yeah, that's true. A doctor did have to do discharge papers. But this is the thing about it. I've worked hospitals for years, and the administration pushes these doctors to do things. The doctors push the administration to do things. One hand washes the other. I'll guarantee you there was a coordinated effort to do that. That was the hospital administration and the doctors working together to do that. From what I understand, the patient's Medicare was no longer going to be paying for his stay. So that was an issue with the hospital. I would be we'd like to find out what kind of funding that Rockdale Piedmont, or Piedmont in general, gets for indigent care. That per patient would have definitely fallen under their indigent care program after those Medicare days would have expired. And then also there a way of reevaluating uh, reevaluating the patient for a new diagnosis, also to extend the stay. Not certain if that was done or looked at or whatever. I mean, guys, I'm just telling you, if when you put somebody out on the street like that, it's ridiculous. And then there's another thing. I'm just going to throw it out there. This is a side topic, also, guys. But a few years ago when the Rockdale County Board of Commission gave away Parker Road, and they sold Restoration Storehouse as the next great thing as far as all these nonprofits, and it's a one-stop shop, and no matter what your need would, you'd be able to go there and solve that problem. Well, hey, where was Restoration Storehouse when this poor guy was on the sidewalk off of Milstead Street? You know, where was Restoration Storehouse coming to the aid and to the rescue of this poor gentleman when he laid on a sidewalk in Rockdale County, when we were promised that Restoration Storehouse would be the save all of all, that there would be nobody falling through the cracks anymore in Rockdale County, because we would have Restoration Storehouse over here on Parker Road that would make sure nobody in Rockdale County fell through the cracks. And yet we definitely see Thursday we had an individual fall through the cracks, fall through a crater here in Rockdale County. This is pitiful. When you have this kind of, uh, it's inexcusable, inexcusable. They should have exhausted all resources, and I'd read the comment about Bill where they said the family, you couldn't whatever. But what's the situation of that family? We got a 68-year-old man here. Was it possibly a 68-year-old spouse who in no way could take care of a 68-year-old husband? I mean, we don't know because that didn't come out. Just we contacted families. That's not a good enough response. The response that the hospital came out, they do their best to impact the life of everyone they touch positively. Well, they didn't positively impact this guy's life. There's no way they can sell that bill of goods that what they did to him in any way was positive. Wasn't. Piedmont Rockdale dropped the ball. And I think someone mentioned in there about, lawsuit, because somebody asked me, well, is there something you're going to do and start something? I said, I don't think I have to do anything about this. Once this hit the airwaves, once this was on 46 and 2, I will guarantee you that there are enough attorneys heard this. This guy has already got counsel. Somebody's on his side, and there's some people going to pay the price fiscally for this error. Somebody's going to pay the price monetarily for what they did. Just point blank. They'll end up probably settling, but somebody's going to pay the price for this error. And what I think we do is, it was mentioned to me, well, nothing will happen to Piedmont because, they've got all this political influence and they grease the politicians' hands. That's exactly why something needs to happen in this situation, to let people know that, but just because you got a lot of money and you can throw it toward politicians doesn't mean that you're immune to the right thing. Doesn't mean that you can just do what you want to do. And somebody said, well, I thought Rockdale Emergency Relief and the closed calls that was supposed to care was going down more politics getting in the way since Piedmont took over. Yeah, I'm concerned about this Piedmont monopoly. Aren't you guys concerned about one healthcare provider owning all these hospitals and clinics in your area? Really concerns me when you've got this one-stop shop. I worry about it. Yeah, Lisa said, the family will suddenly want to be involved. Of course, that happens. But I think we don't know the situation of the family. I mean, it could be, and like I said, when I worked in the hospital setting, and sometimes these kind of things would happen, there would be no way that the individual at home could receive the person that was going to come home. But the places I worked had great social workers. I think they call them caseworkers now or something else. But they those folks turned no stone was unturned. They made sure that that these folks had a place to go, and they weren't put on the streets, or that nothing bad happened to them. Could be that I just come from a place where people took care of people. I don't know. But like I said, back in West Virginia, that wouldn't have happened at those hospitals that I worked at. Just wouldn't have happened. Wouldn't have happened. But it's a shame, that it happened right here, right now. But I think what we need to do as a community is, we need to say enough's enough. That doesn't happen in our community. We expect better. I watched the interview with Chief Freeman, and I actually got a lot of respect for the chief, because he actually, he had already done one report, I think, back in August to the Georgia Department of Health on Piedmont Rockdale for similar activities, and he's filing another complaint against Piedmont Rockdale with the Department of Community Health at this point. And I just applaud Deputy Chief Freeman for his actions, and that he's not going to be intimidated by this medical power broker in our community. More folks like Chief Freeman need to stand up to these monopolies, these giants who think they can do what they want and say what they want because of the political favor that they have. That doesn't give you the right to do these kind of things. And like I said, and I think we all owe a gratitude of thanks that we've got a person like Deputy Chief Freeman in Conyers that's going to look out for folks that get wronged like that. So, hey, great work, Deputy Chief Freeman. Great job. You need my help with this in any way, reach out here to This Week from Rockdale. We'll be glad to have you on the show. You want to talk about this? We'll be glad to do any community efforts that you'd like. I think that this was something that needed to be brought to the attention of the citizens of Rockdale and the citizens of Georgia. This is one of those things that I would like to see our governor make a comment about. Wouldn't you guys think this is something that the governor of Georgia would make a comment about or say something about when something like this happens in our state? That we don't let this happen in our state. He's a champion of many causes. I challenge Governor Kemp to investigate this, find out what's going on here at these Piedmont hospitals if they're not going to treat people properly and humanely. Governor Kemp, I challenge you at this point: do the right thing, step up, and show those values that you say you have. Because you've not. You say you got them, but I haven't seen them. Say you have them, haven't seen them. Let's see how that goes. Piedmont Rockdale did put out a response, Lisa, but it was like, we want to do our best to have a positive influence in the lives of everybody that we touch, and that that they offer certain things and they can't make patients abide by them. But let's be honest: if this patient was in the condition that Chief Freeman article says he wasn't coherent enough to make a decision. So medical personnel, doctors, nurses, security staff, you put an individual out on the sidewalk who within an hour is laying there unresponsive. There is no reason that should have happened, and there's no justification of why that man was laying there on that sidewalk outside that hospital, unresponsive. Shame on you, Piedmont Rockdale. Shame on you, physicians who released that poor man. Shame on you, nursing staff, for going along with that nonsense. Shame on you, for security staff, for dressing that man and putting him out there on the sidewalk. Shame on you. Shame on you. Let's see here. Piedmont Henry is even worse. They have patients sitting outside with oxygen tanks running out, not checking vitals frequently. And I am speaking from firsthand experience because this happened to my mom. I had to go by and raise Cain so that way would put her vitals checks after 10 hours. You hear that? That's somebody who actually experienced this at another Piedmont hospital, lack of patient care. So guys, we've got to do something about this. If these conglomerates buy our hospitals in our local communities, then we have to expect them to run these to our standard and not subpar, and for us to be getting subpar medical treatment is not acceptable. And Rockdale citizens, we need to stand up and do something. And like I said, I applaud again Rockdale, the Conyers Police Department for standing up and doing the right thing, and the EMS and the fire department for saying, hey, this guy needs to go back to the emergency room, and they transported him back to the hospital. So I just want to thank everybody who did do a positive thing in this story by bringing it to light and making sure this man did get medical treatment. And again, shame on you, Piedmont Rockdale. Shame on you. Guys, this is going to be a short show tonight. Just wanted to cover this one story, do that drawing. I've had a long week, weekend. I was at Myrtle Beach. I had a business conference. We did a little vacation. I traveled back. I got back late this evening. I went to football practice with the Social Circle Redskins, and then came here to do the show. So Lisa Lancaster said she worked at the hospital over 20 years, and it was an amazing hospital, great staff, and great care. Well, Lisa, things change, and apparently they didn't change for the better here at Piedmont Rockdale. So, guys, thank you once again for being a great audience. Thank you for tuning in to This Week from Rockdale. And I just want to thank everybody for everything that they do. I will see you next week. I'll be putting out an event about what we're going to be talking about next week. But you stand by and let's work together to make this community a community we can all be proud of. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.